What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, live, here to answer your fantasy football questions for week number 13 of the 2020 fantasy season. I apologize for not being able to get out my typical stardom situm this week. We are busy over here. I'm grinding, and I'm still trying to get these videos out, but I hope you guys have been enjoying the Loyal to the Game series. My whole team at school, we've put a lot of heart into it, a lot of work into it. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys watch it. And if you do, leave a comment. Let us know how you think we did. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let us know in the comments. That would definitely be appreciated. I'll leave the link in the description for you guys to check it out if you haven't already. But yeah, this is going to be fantasy video related. I just wanted to say, a lot of people may miss it, may not see the notifications. YouTube might not send you the video or might not get to your subscription feed, whatever. So I just want to make sure that you guys know that the Loyal to the Game series is something that we've worked hard on and that you guys should definitely check out if you haven't already. So I'll leave that link in the description as well as in the comments. So tonight, we are going to answer some fantasy questions and help you get into the fantasy playoffs. Before we do, make sure you do Gronk spike that like button, and don't forget, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and fantasy content just like this. All right, and Adam's in the chat. He says, yo, how about the Loyal to the Game show? Yes, Adam was one of the editors on the show. Appreciate Adam. Shout out, Adam. Everybody say Bills suck for Adam in the chat. Thank you. Shout him out. Say Bills suck, Adam. That's a good way to give him a shout out. So what's going on, guys, in the chat? Eric says, should I start Antonio Gibson or Raheem Mostert? That's a good question. Antonio Gibson or Raheem Mostert? So Antonio Gibson, I would say weekly has become a must start in fantasy, and even though he is playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is a difficult matchup for running backs, we do need to know that, hey, okay, the Pittsburgh Steelers are now without Devin Bush and Bud Dupree to stop the run, so that's significantly going to hinder their run defense moving forward. So I do think Antonio Gibson is still the start, even though Raheem Mostert is solid in his own right. I actually think you could start both of them, depending on who else you have on the roster. But I would say, especially Gibson in PPR formats, he's pretty safe. He's going to get a number of touches. He might score a touchdown. He's going to catch the ball out of the backfield. And he's going to be involved. Whether they're winning or they're losing, he will be involved. So I think Gibson is the better start this week. The Rams do have a good defense. I actually think the Rams defense is better than the Steelers defense. Now, not strictly in terms of the run defense. That would belong to Pittsburgh, but just overall, it's not going to be easy for the 49ers to run the ball. So I'd still go with Antonio Gibson there, although I do like Mostert as well. LGRW says, hi, Mitch BLV. What's going on? Mark is in the chat. What's up, Mark? Mark was also there for the Loyal to the Game, so shout out, Mark. Chris is in the chat. He says, yo, what's up, Chris? LG says, should I pick up players to try to win, or should I let my injured players heal and rest them this week or tank this week? So I'm assuming you're in a situation where you have players on the bench that are hurt, but you would have for the playoffs. And I'm in a similar situation in a couple of leagues, actually in the BLV league. So there's a couple guys on my team that are hurt that I think I'm going to be in the playoffs. So I'm keeping them on my bench instead of picking guys up to try to win this week. So I think that's kind of in the situation that you're in, I would assume. So I think that you should, now it depends, are you the last seed to get in the playoffs, or are you the number one seed? If you have the bye locked up, or if you have a seed locked up, then hey, what's the difference between you being the 4th or 5th seed in the playoffs? There's no difference in fantasy. Fantasy, all it comes down to is who gets the most points in the last 3 weeks of the season. That's really all it comes down to. It doesn't come down to anything other than that. Now, a bye helps, because the variance of you losing a week and having a bad week goes down significantly. So if it's for a bye, then I think it's worth it potentially to try to win this week. But, I mean, if you can somehow compete and you can rest your players, that's kind of the happy medium. That's kind of what I'm trying to do in a couple of my leagues. Like I have, in the bottom line view league, like Mixon and Connor and Swift, they're all hurt, right? And then in my other league, my league that I'm the commish, I have Galladay hurt and McCaffrey on a bye who's also been hurt. So I have some injuries in some leagues where I'm like trying to balance it out to be competitive, but also to rest for the playoffs. So my answer for that would depend on the situation you're in, what seed you are, and that's pretty much it. Like you kind of got to just play it how you feel, right? That's the only real advice I can give you on that. Chris says Gio or Snell in the flex. So Gio is playing, who are the Bengals playing again? I made this one of my best bets. Oh, the Miami Dolphins. And Benny Snell is playing the Washington football team. So I don't really know if Connor is going to be back or not. I don't think. I'm going to double check that just because I know there's going to be a question about him. So Snell, let's see. I would not start Snell if there's a chance Connor plays. Let me just check here. No, he was out for the COVID game. But I don't really see any recent updates. Weeks ago said Steelers run game. So I don't think he's going to be playing this week. I assume he's not playing because he is high risk because he had cancer. So assuming that Benny Snell is the starter, which you would probably know if you dug into that research, I would, because I have Connor out as well, like I mentioned, like I didn't think he was going to play. So Snell is probably the answer there. I know that Gio, again, Mixon is also out, so it opens a door for him to be the starter and to get all the touches. But he's playing the Dolphins defense, and when you look at both games, the Bengals are expected to lose. They are, 11-point underdogs, 10-point underdogs. On the flip side, the Steelers are expected to win. They're 7-point favorites. So that's usually a determining factor for picking a running back in fantasy. Running backs are better for fantasy when they are in good game script, when they're running the ball. So the Steelers are likely to be winning their game, which means they're going to be late in the game running the ball. And that means that Snell is going to pick up some yardage for your fantasy team. So could there be a scenario where Gio catches the ball out of the backfield and stuff like that in garbage time? Sure, but the guy that has the higher ceiling here is definitely Snell, in my opinion. Michael says, hey, what's going on? Michael, random dude says, Judy, Patrick, Parker, week 13, rank PPR. So I think Fitzpatrick is playing for Miami, which would mean I like Parker this week, especially versus the Bengals. Jerry, Judy, and Patrick. I side towards Patrick, I think. I mean, he just gives you more kind of upside for the big play and for a touchdown potentially. Judy could outdo him this week, but we've seen Patrick be the better fantasy option for the last few weeks. So in terms of the order there, I would probably list Devontae Parker first, and then Patrick, and then Judy. Cedric says Devontae Smith is the best player in the draft. Chris says Debo or A.J. Brown. Good question. I like A.J. Brown this week quite a bit, although I do like Debo, but I think he's hurt. I don't even know if he's actually suiting up this weekend. But A.J. Brown, I feel, has a really good matchup. Denzel Ward is out for the Browns, which means that the Browns don't really have a true number one corner, and they're going to get shredded by A.J. Brown. So the answer is A.J. Brown there. Ace says Jarvis Landry or CeeDee Lamb. I would go with CeeDee not CeeDee. I would go with Jarvis Landry over CeeDee. Reason being is Titans secondary is fine. Their defense has been fine, but nothing extraordinary. They've actually given up quite a few passing yards, but I do expect the Browns to move the ball pretty effectively in the game on the ground. But Jarvis Landry has become, without Odell there, their number one target, their number one go-to guy for Baker Mayfield. He's in the trust tree of Baker Mayfield. He's one of the only receivers that actually has a rapport with Baker Mayfield. On the flip side, CeeDee Lamb is playing the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore has an outstanding secondary, and whether it's Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters, I expect it to be Humphrey. I think. Maybe it could be Peters or Jimmy Smith potentially, or one of those other guys, but Humphrey does kind of play nickel and outside, and CeeDee does play a lot in the slot. So that would be concerning in terms of the matchup. Baltimore is just generally pretty good versus the pass, and the Titans are not so much. So I would go with Jarvis there, especially if it becomes a shootout. What do we have here? Cloud Bay says, should I drop Madison and Reagor for Browns defense standard? I mean, you can if you need to. You're going to drop 2 players for 1? That doesn't really seem to make sense. Why would you drop 2 for 1? I mean, can't you just drop 1? Like, you say drop Madison end. I mean, pick one or the other. Are you asking me who to pick? If I was to pick there, I would probably say you could just drop Jalen Reagor, because I think Madison at least has some value. If Cook gets hurt, you can play him. I don't think anyone's going to be trusting Jalen in the playoffs. Michael says, Bills suck, Adam. And then Adam says, bully. LGRW says, Bills suck, Josh Allen can throw. We won 42-16. Chad says, Trubisky or Rivers. Give me a break. Rivers. Shelton Mayfield says, Dallas Goedert or Kyle Rudolph. I would go with Dallas Goedert. Eric says, but I have Nick Chubb also. Well, you got to play Chubb. He's a baller. Dennis says, New England still for the win. So many players are questionable. Still picking Los Angeles Chargers, I assume. You put Los Angeles Rams. I don't know if you mean the Chargers. But yeah, I do think New England is going to beat the Chargers. Mark says Kyler Murray or Fitzmagic PPR. PPR doesn't matter. And for quarterbacks, it's 4-point or 6-point. I just continue to remind you guys that just to let you know. But I think you have to start Kyler. You have to. If it was maybe like another top-notch option, you could go with the other guy, but it's Fitzmagic. I'm not willing to start Fitzmagic over Kyler. Random Dude says Trubisky is the lion killer. Timothy says Shepard or Mike Williams, PPR. Good question. Shepard, I think, was limited in practice this week. Has Colt McCoy. And Mike Williams is playing a pretty tough matchup, and most likely J.C. Jackson. If I had to say, though, I'd probably go with Mike Williams because of the quarterback situation in New York. Even though I don't love Mike Williams this week, I do think he has a higher ceiling, which is probably where I'm going to go in this case. Coach says, loyal, more than a game. LFG. Thanks, Coach. Everybody ask Coach for the advice on the fantasy, and then you'll finish last place. Adam says Jonathan Taylor or Hines. I would go with Hines. I think Hines is just a more reliable option, especially if you're in a PPR league. I'm not sure if you're talking about the Ryerson League, Adam, but I would go with Hines just because I think he's more involved in all facets of the game. He does have a ceiling to score every week. He has a ceiling to catch the ball and run the ball. So I just think Hines is a safer option. Ace says Jarvis or CD. I answered that question. Mason says, what's up, boys? Coach says Bernard or Hyde or Edmonds. So I think Carson is playing again, which you always have to check because you never really know. Bernard, I already kind of said I'm not a huge fan of him this week. And Edmonds, who plays the Rams, that's also a tough matchup. See, the Seahawks play the Giants. The Giants are actually pretty good versus the run. So if Carson is playing, which I think he is, I don't know if you could start Hyde. Edmonds and Bernard, that's tough. Like, I don't really see the Bengals scoring a lot, but he could be the best floor play out of everyone there. Edmonds has probably the most volatility out of all those guys, but he probably also has the highest ceiling out of all of those guys. So I like Edmonds as a player the most. And if that game does turn into more of a higher scoring game, he could have a good one. But like, he's kind of been underwhelming recently. Hasn't really put up a lot of yardage or fantasy points. I think the safest play is Bernard, but it's kind of a flip of the coin with him and Edmonds. Francesco says Kamara versus Atlanta, Booker versus the Jets, or Dobbins versus Dallas. Well, you have to play Kamara. I don't care. Kamara, bro. I would rank it Kamara, Booker, and then Dobbins. Yeah, that's how I would go because Jacobs is out. Isaac says Mostert, Myles Gaskin, and Chase Edmonds. Rank them for this week, please, good sir. What's up, Isaac? I would go. I know Gaskin got. He's off the IR. I understand that, but I don't know if I'm willing to start him right out of the gate. I would have to see a report that indicates that he's going to be good to go and going to be playing a lot of snaps. Edmonds, I think, is probably the worst option there. I think the best option is Mostert, so I'd rank it Mostert, Gaskin, Edmonds. Mark says Nelson Aguilar, if he plays. Julio Jones, Brandon Ayuk, or Sammy Watkins, pick 2. So I'm going to go Julio, assuming he also plays. And I like Brandon Ayuk this week. He's back, and he's playing a defense that's not great in the Bills. So I think the Bills are going to score on the other side, which means the Niners will need to throw. Random dude says, is Singletary or Moss the starting running back? Neither. They both split. Singletary, I think, would be considered slightly more of the starter, but it's really close. Michael says, Ben or Rodgers? I would go with Rodgers. Snell or Hyde? I would go with Snell. Juju, Lockett, or Cup? Pick 2. That one's tough. Cup, Lockett, Juju. Pick 2. I like all of them. I think Lockett will have a big game. And I'm going to go Cup and Lockett. I'm going to sit Juju there. Defensively, Steelers, Washington, or the Rams? Steelers. Mark says Aguilar, Jones, Watkins, Ayuk. I think I answered that question. Adam says Moss got more snaps last week, but they're pretty much 50-50 recently. Yeah, that makes sense. Eric says, one more. What do you think of Michael Thomas? What do you think he'll do this week? Will he score more points or sit him and start Ayuk? You got to start Michael Thomas. I mean, you drafted him in the first round. Your season's on the line. You're looking to get the playoffs. I get it. There's a fine line between giving up on guys and moving forward, but it's Michael Thomas. Okay, last week, the reason Michael Thomas wasn't great is because they didn't need to be great passing the ball. The Broncos had no quarterback. Like, I'm not even talking about having a bad quarterback. They legitimately did not have a quarterback playing in the game. So they did not need to pass the ball. They were being very conservative. So I think Michael Thomas is the start between the two of them, but I also liked Ayuk, as I mentioned. Ashbro says, is there any reason why I should start Cousins against the Jags instead of Watson against the Colts? Well, there is a reason. The reason would be no Will Fuller, which is a big reason. But Cousins, man, that's a good matchup, but I don't think you can really pass up Watson for Cousins. Like, maybe you could pass him up for Rodgers or Allen or Kyler. But the thing with Cousins is, yes, he could be better than Watson this week. He could. But they don't pass the ball. And when Minnesota is expected to win a game, they're 10-point favorites. They're just going to run the ball. So the ceiling isn't really super high with Cousins either. So even though Watson may be without his best receiver, I would still start Watson because he can give you stuff on the ground. Of course, he's been playing his best football of his career. So that's just a good reason in itself to start him. Mason says, yes, dang, I feel like the youngest dude here. I'm 11. Well, welcome, Mason. What's up? Kenyon says, just liked. Thank you. Kenyon says, just liked. Appreciate that. Mark says, Murray or Fitz, full PPR. Kyler Murray, you're saying, right? Kyler Murray? Chris says, Connor is out, bro. Are you talking about Latavius Murray or Fitzgerald? I don't know. Which one are you talking about? Fitzpatrick, Fitzgerald, Kyler, or Latavius? I'm going to answer both because I'm a nice guy. I'm going to go Latavius Murray over Fitzgerald, and I'm going to go Kyler Murray over Fitzpatrick. So either way. Mark says, James White or Cam Akers? Give me James White. Steven says, hi, Mitch, in half PPR. Pick 2 from Gordon, Gaskin, and Sanders. Give me Sanders. And I would check out the Gaskin reports. Assuming he does start and play, I would play Gaskin. But if there's a report before the game that indicates that he's not going to play that many snaps, then I would play Gordon. But that's kind of where I'm leaning in terms of that. I don't think Gordon actually has a terrible matchup this week. He plays the Chiefs. The only chance they have is to run the ball. So he is definitely going to get the ball. It's just, I don't know how high his ceiling is. Cloud says, should I drop Madison, Reagor, or Lazard for the Browns D? I thought I already answered this question. I would drop Jalen Reagor. Gio or Latavius Murray for the flex? Ooh. I would say standard or half PPR, I would go Latavius. But if you're talking about full PPR, I'd go with Bernard. Mark Zuckerberg says Myles Gaskin, James White, Cam Akers, or Devontae Booker. Pick 2. Give me White and White and Booker. White and Booker. I think, White's been involved since Burkhead's been out. So he's a good start pretty much weekly now. Cole says, money line on the Lions. I got on my parlay. What do you think? It's always bold taking the Lions on any sort of bet. I don't mind it, though. I don't mind it. I think the Lions do have a good chance to win. And they are underdogs, so you're going to get good odds there. So I don't mind it. Mark says, same question. Zach Ertz or Jordan Reed? Full PPR. I'm going to go Jordan Reed as long as he's healthy and playing. No problem, Chris. Kanye says Hill or DK? Tyreek Hill or DK? I think you got to go Tyreek Hill. Mark says Ertz or Jordan Reed? Same question, Reed. Steven is going with Cousins, the better option this week rather than Herbert because of the matchup. Ooh, yes, I think. Now, I haven't been the highest on the Patriots defense, but they played better versus the Cardinals, and they really have been good versus the Chargers receivers in the past and just generally Anthony Lynn's offenses. So I would go with Cousins because I think we saw last week there's a possibility for Herbert to put up stinkers. Now, could Herbert put up 300 yards and 2 touchdowns? Yeah, possibly. But when you look at the matchups, clearly Cousins is better, and I don't think you're going to get a bad game from Cousins. That opportunity does exist with Herbert because he is playing a Belichick defense, but it doesn't exist for Cousins. He's playing the Jacksonville Jags. So if you want to be safe, go with Cousins, but I still think the higher upside does remain with Justin Herbert. So it's kind of like, what do you want? Are you wanting the for sure thing? You have a good enough roster where you're like, I could be willing to sacrifice. If Herbert does somewhat have a big game, then I'm willing to sacrifice it because I just need the consistency. Or am I in a situation where I'm probably outgunned on the other side and I need to win and that guy has a way better team than me and I need to pray that Herbert has a big game? So it kind of depends where you're at. Like those are always things to play into the conversation of starts and sits. It's like, okay, what's that other guy's team looking like? Am I outgunned here? Like, or am I in a situation where, man, the rest of my team's so much better than his? Just put in Cousins and be safe. Ash Rose says, Mark Zuckerberg, I would do Gaskin and White. All of the Dolphins running backs are hurt besides him, White, because it's PPR. T-Bone says, I'm at the LSU-Alabama game right now. I don't know why I put exclamation points. This is not exciting. Hey, that's awesome, man. Brown says, start CEH or Chase Edmonds. I'd go with Clyde. Jake says, any concern for DK this week? Thanks, Mitch. Love the videos. Thank you, Jake. No, it's DK. That's all I'll say. Blue says, half PPR. Blue Crew. Half PPR, pick 2. Running back in a flex. Zeke, Claypool, or Booker. Thank you. Give me Booker and Claypool. Yes, I'm not starting Zeke. Butters says, Cole Beasley or Nelson Aguilar. Pick 1. Give me, Cole Beasley, I think. I think Nelson Aguilar is hurt, so that does play into it. But Beasley's just safe. I like Beasley. I can count on Beasley. He's not the sexiest, but I can count on him. Reynolds or Slayton? I want to say Slayton because of the matchup, but the quarterback scares me. Reynolds, like, what is his upside? I don't know. I think Slayton has more upside. Maybe he could put up a stinker, but if the Giants are going to be trailing the Seahawks, which they likely are, I mean, even if it's Colt McCoy, he can get the ball to him. So I'm going to go Slayton. Tampa says, Mecole Hardman or Terry McLaurin. That's kind of a dumb question. Terry McLaurin. Chip says, Pittman, Boyd, Ayuk, Kirk. Pick 2. I will avoid the Boyd here this week. I'm going to go Ayuk and Pittman because Kirk, he's playing a good secondary. Those are my picks. Nicholas says, I'm starting Trubisky since we are playing the Lions. I highly recommend it for everyone. Thank me later. All right. That means your team sucks, but I'll just throw that out there. Standard, who should I flex? Kiki, Cam Akers, Gio, or Dobbins? I have Ayuk and Jefferson starting wide receivers. I like those receivers. Gio, Dobbins, Akers, Kiki. Let me check something. I just want to check the Rams. I think all their running backs are playing. That would be a difference maker. Kiki. Sounds like you want to start him because you picked him up or something. He should be the number 2 receiver. Gio. What type? Oh, it's standard. I would go. That's hard. Dobbins is back. Ingram, I believe, is back as well. Let me check. Double check. Always double check. Double check. I still might go Dobbins, though. He might have the highest upside of everyone there. Kind of depends what you want. Like I said with Gio, like he's like a floor play. So he's safe. Kiki, because it's not PPR, it's not really worth starting him. Dobbins has the highest upside, in my opinion, given the matchup. Gaming Season says start, bench, cut Josh Jacobs, Saquon, Nick Chubb. Well, you should probably cut Saquon. He's not coming back. So I'd go with him. Canyon says Chiefs and Broncos, close game? Nah, probably not. Chris says, I'm in a tough matchup and debating Kyler Murray versus Kirk Cousins. You have to start your studs. I wouldn't overthink it. As much as I think the Rams have a great defense and Kyler Murray hasn't been playing that well, I'd probably still start him. Hey, yo, what's up, Turtle? Adam says Bills D is way better than they have been. Ayuk or Claypool, full PPR. I love Ayuk. I love Ayuk, man. I love him. But, I mean, Claypool, it's hard to sit. I have Claypool in a couple leagues as well. That one is hard. I think Claypool has probably a bigger upside there. Ayuk is a stud, though. That's hard, man. That is very hard, actually. Let me think about that one. Gaming Season says not fantasy, just based off talent. Jacobs, Nick Chubb, Saquon. Oh. Based off talent, Saquon is the best. Second best would be Chubb, and third best would be Jacobs. Tampa says, for our future, which college quarterback would be better for us after Brady retires? I'm not going to answer those questions until I watch the tape, guys. I don't like giving opinions when I don't know what I'm talking about. So that's just me. Durkant says, Bills defense is reaching 2019 form. Cloudbase says Kiki or Cam Akers in a standard league. I guess Akers. Maybe Kiki, though. Like, roll out Kiki. The possibility exists where he has a big game. Plays the Colts should be. I think the Texans should still be able to move the ball. Will Fuller's going to hurt, but assuming that Kiki is the second receiver, he could score a touchdown. He's going to be involved. He's going to be out there on every snap. That won't be the same for Akers. Akers won't be out there on every snap. So when I think about it, Kiki probably has the higher ceiling there. You're just starting Akers just for the floor, I think, of being a running back. But nothing great. Kenny says, should I start AJ Green or Antonio Brown? I'd go with Antonio Brown if he was playing. But he is on a bye, so I would go with AJ Green out of those two. Stefan says Miles Sanders or Michael Thomas at flex. Miles Sanders, I think. Steven says, got a tricky tight end question for you. Fant or Rudolph? I believe Thielen is playing, so Fant. But tight ends, you're right, Steven. It's tricky. Like, just pray that you pick the right one. Fant, I'll say, because I think the Broncos are going to have to pass a lot in the second half. I think the reverse is true for Denver. I don't think Denver is going to, or sorry, not Denver, Minnesota. Minnesota's not really going to be passing the ball a lot in the second half. What else we got here? Cole says, parlay of the day on Sunday. That's why you subscribe to Patreon, bro. You can check out my best bets. But I will be posting all the bets that I have made, which I've already made some, but all the official bets that I have made will be on Patreon. So subscribe to that. I also do a Sunday morning show, typically every week for Patreon. Bobby says, my starting lineup is Herbert, Kamara, Swift, Jefferson, Thielen, Kelsey, D-Hop, Colts, Daniel, Carlson, 10-team PPR. How do you think it looks before we go into the playoffs? Herbert, Kamara, Swift. Well, Swift needs to get healthy. I don't love the fact that you have two receivers on the same team, Jefferson and Thielen. But they're good. I think you got a solid team. Kamara would definitely be helped if Breeze were to be back, which I don't know if that's going to happen. Oh, we don't have the deadline. So are there any changes you think I should make? I would love if you were able to trade one of your Viking receivers to get an upgrade at running back over Swift, just because of the possibility that Swift could be hurt. He should be fine next week, but yeah, it's not exactly comforting. So if you could trade one of your Vikings receivers for like a solid running back, then I don't think that would be bad. But you could definitely come back and ask me any questions or leave a comment on one of my videos, and I'll get back to you if you have a trade offer. Eric says, Lamar Jackson versus Dallas or Kyler Murray to start. I would go with Lamar. Turtle says, Bobby Schmerda. I would offload one of the Minnesota receivers. Oh, so he said the same thing. Akers says, I'm in Wichita, Kansas. What about you guys? Chip says, with Lamar still questionable, do I start Fitzpatrick? I think Lamar is going to play, but I'm not positive about that. Joe Mixon, well, there are 2 games on Monday, so I'm pretty sure you could just pick up Nick Mullins. So what I would do is I would play Lamar, have him in your lineup, pick up Nick Mullins, drop Fitzpatrick, and then if Lamar doesn't play, just play Nick Mullins. Difference between Nick Mullins and Fitzpatrick isn't that great. But Lamar, I think, will have a huge game if he plays. Deshaun says, hey, Mitch, what's going on? Dobbins or Drake? I'm going to go Drake there. Gaskins or Booker? I'm going to go Booker, assuming he's the starter. Do you do hockey picks? No, I am on a hockey podcast on Hot Take Hockey. Shout out to John, though. So if you want hockey picks, go follow John at Hot Take Hockey. He has a good channel over there. Gurley or Melvin Gordon? Give me Melvin Gordon. Aiden says Jonathan Taylor, Gallman, or Devontae Booker. Give me Taylor. Maybe Booker. Not Gallman. So it's between Taylor. Oh, yeah, Taylor and Booker. The pick 2. Thank you for allowing it just to be 2 and not 3. Or not 1. Yeah, Yayo says Pittman or Claypool. I'm going to go with Claypool. He's just safer. Yeah, boy, says Mitch, remember me. Yes, I do. Essa says, I believe it's Essa, says AJ, Deontay, Mostert, or Julio. AJ Brown or AJ Green? I assume it's AJ Brown. So if it's AJ Brown, Brown and Julio in a full PPR. As long as Julio plays. If not, I would go with Deontay. Your boy says Allen or Mahomey. Mahomey. Gaming says not fantasy related, just off sheer NFL play. Start, bench, cut. Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Marvin Jones. I would cut Marvin Jones and start Jefferson and bench Kupp. Nicholas says my other quarterback is Murray. He has a tough matchup against the Rams, so I'm starting Trubisky. All right. Your boy says Cousins or Newton. Cousins is safer. I think they'll probably end up around the same. So, Cousins slightly. Tampa says, do you think he could lose to the Vikings or the Falcons? If you're talking about Tom Brady, I would say no. Mark says, so Mitch, have you come to a decision on Ayuk or Claypool, full PPR? If it helps my team is worse than the others and I need a win for the playoffs, probably Claypool. Steven says, thanks, man. Great show, and I appreciate you actually knowing what you're talking about. Didn't think about the Vikings not running versus the Broncos. Slanging that thing. Fant it is, man. Well, best of luck. I think I'm starting Fant in another league as well, so we're in the same boat there. Steven, I think it's actually in Bottom Line View League. Steven says, maybe I'm wrong there, but I don't know. Steven says, I'm in too many leagues. What's your thoughts on Tonyan? Had to put him in as Gronk's on a bye, and Andrews has COVID. He's solid. I mean, he's as solid as a lot of the other tight ends, like we just talked about with Fant. Yayo says Snell, Murray, or Peterson. Probably Snell there. Go for says start 2, Sanders, Carson, Gaskin. I'm going to go Sanders and Carson. A-Rob, Woods, Chark, Boyd, Claypool. Give me A-Rob and Woods. Lamar says Michael Pittman Jr. or Julio. If Julio plays, Julio. Kalen says pick 2, half PPR, Montgomery, McLaurin, or Ridley. Give me McLaurin and Ridley. Tyquez says Mike Williams, Jerry Jeudy, or Chris Davis at the flex. Chris Davis. Williams has the highest upside, I think. Cole says how much? It starts at $3. I'm actually going to be moving it down to $1, but starts at $3 a month. You could support the channel and support me. Support my dream. That'd be appreciated. Anybody that wants to support, you could check out Patreon. And it's more than just betting, but yeah, you could check out my betting stuff there. I have some fun over there. Become a patron. Patreon, if I can pronounce English properly, .com/BLV if you want to check it out. All right. Standard, Kiki, Lazard, Gio. I think I answered this question. I have Henry and Dobbins at running back. I like Lazard to have a pretty big game. Kiki could have a decent game as well. I would say if I was going for a big game, I would go with Lazard. Parker says, should I start Michael Thomas, Justin Jefferson, or Claypool? But I can start 2. I just can't sit Michael Thomas. So I'm playing Michael Thomas, and I'm playing Justin Jefferson, I think, there over Claypool. I have both, actually, in one of my leagues, so I'm in the same spot there. Are you in the NBA the same as the NFL? Now, I'm not in any league the same amount as I am in the NFL. I make videos on the NFL, so like I just can't invest the same amount of time, effort, or passion into any other sport. And I don't, to be honest, I don't like any other sport the same way. I grew up playing lacrosse, but there's no professional leagues really that are entertaining for that or on a big scale. So, but I love watching the NBA and NHL. And not so much baseball, but like I'll watch it, and I'm still a pretty big hockey fan, but that's not the same as football. It's just not the same. Tampa says, are you into the NBA? Oh, I already answered that. Ron says Duke Johnson or Zach Moss. I know, terrible choices. I would go with, is David Johnson playing this week? That is a key question. And if you're wondering, the Patreon stuff will be up tonight. I almost wonder if I should do the pre-show tonight instead of tomorrow. I might actually do it tonight so I don't have to wake up early tomorrow because I want a little bit of sleep. But let's check this out. David Johnson, I'm not sure if he's actually playing again. He returns from IR. It's been activated. So that means Duke is kind of hurt there. I'd go with Zach Moss, assuming David Johnson plays. So definitely check that out before. Are you in any survivor pools? I typically am, but I'm not this year. Mark says Ayuk or James White, full PPR. Ooh, it's tough. I would go with Ayuk, I think. Ooh, that's actually really hard because James White is great versus that Seattle scheme. I think I'm going to go with Ayuk, but that is close. Tam says, please pick one. Cooks, Beasley, Davis, or Pittman. I'm going with Cooks. He's a number 1 receiver for the Texans. Ethan says A.J. Brown or D-Hop. Both. If I had to prove, or I have to prove. What am I talking about, bro? I'm rattled tonight. I can't speak. I'm going to go with A.J. Brown. You guys should see me sometimes when I record some of these videos. Like if I screw up sometimes, I just lose it. Yayo says Ingram or I look like Dan Marino when he was on there. Ingram or Hawkinson? Hawkinson. Ella says drop Bernard for a backup defense for the playoffs. Backup, it depends on the defense. If you see they have really good matchups, then sure. I don't hate it, but there's no sense in having a backup defense if you're not going to play them. So you need to make sure that you're going to play them one of the weeks, week 14, 15, 16. So assuming you will, then sure. Joe Mixon says, don't know how I'm 4th in my league. I have Kyler, T. Higgins, Hardman, Chark, Eckler, Montgomery, Waller, Green. Yeah, that's not a great team. But yeah, I guess Kyler Murray helps. Waller helps too. Oh, Corey Davis. I don't remember what your question was, man. I'm sorry. Marco says Thomas, Jefferson, Chark, Deontay, or Cooker. I need... Bro. Cooker? Who's a Cooker? Cooper! I need 2 and 1 for flex. Michael Thomas, Jefferson, Chark, Deontay, Cooper. I need 2 and 1 for flex. That hurts my feelings. Jefferson, Deontay, and Michael Thomas. Lock it in. Kevin Urquhart says Mitch is a lacrosse god. Now I'm just a lacrosse coach. Canyon says that sign behind you, Mitch. How did you get it? My mom bought it for me for my birthday on September 4th. Mark says Booker, Ayuk, White, full PPR. Choose 2. Ayuk and Bukhati. Mitch, I love your live streams. I like your live streams, not love. He's not quite at the love stage yet. Thank you, ya boy. Because it helps me out with fantasy and I'm undefeated. Oof. Turtle, yeah, you're the best, man. You're the best. Do you think Mixon will be back? I hope so, but I don't know, man. It doesn't look like it. Should I flex Kiki or Lazard? I'm going to go with Lazard there, and will Mark Andrews play? I heard he's not going to, but I could be wrong. Parker says, actually, I forgot traded for Diggs, so I have Diggs, Thomas, Claypool, and Jefferson. Thanks for answering questions. I want to trade one of my receivers. Who do you think it should be? Preferably, I would go with Claypool out of all of them. Your boy says, Mitch, thank you for the advice on fantasy. I'm undefeated. No problem. Hill over hurt Big Ben. Taysom Hill or Big Ben? I like Big Ben. I think so. Thoughts on Swift rest of season? He's hurt right now, so he hurts you this week. But I think he'll be all right. He does play the Bucks, so that's rough. I think he has a couple good matchups, though. They're going to really utilize him the rest of the season, especially if Golladay continues to be hurt. So I think he'll be like a running back, too. Pittman or Landry in full PPR. I'm going to go Pittman there. I think he just has a higher ceiling. Tampa says, next season, do you think we should get rid of Leonard Fournette or Shady? Both. Ethan says, still do A.J. Brown in full PPR. I don't know your question, man. Judy, Williams, or Davis? Corey Davis? Corey Davis. Cole says, I'm in a good survivor pool, high prize money. Hit me up if you want to join next year. All right, Cole. Definitely. If you're still around watching the channel and you hit me up, I'll answer you and maybe I'll join. Justin says, Gallman, Booker, or Dobbins in standard? Booker. Yayo says, Chiefs D or Ravens D? Give me Drew Lock. So, Chiefs D. Thoughts on Jacobs the rest of the season? As long as he's okay and he's fine and he's healthy, then he should be fine. But he's not going to be good this week because he's out. Ya boy. Best football live streaming person ever. I appreciate that. Squiggle Dots says Raiders for survival pool. Yeah, not one of the worst picks you could go with. I think they're probably one of the better ones. Raiders, Vikings. Who else? I really love the Seahawks this week. If you haven't chose them yet for some reason. Who else? I like the Dolphins this week too. Ron says Austin Hooper or Hayden Hurst. Also Tim Patrick or Ayuk. I'd go Ayuk over Patrick, and I'd go Hooper or Hurst. I think Hurst. Gaming says Mitch Milani equals best Fortnite YouTubes. I'm not good at Fortnite, bro. I played like once. I know that's hard to believe, but yeah. Sam says DK or AJ Green. DK Metcalf? Okay, or is this AJ Green in 2014 versus DK? That's maybe a better question. Hassan says, guys, someone help me out here. Pick 2 full PPR. Kareem Hunt, Drake, Hines, Gallman, Booker. Jacobs is out. That's a lot of options. Sit Gallman. Sit Drake. Give me Hines and Booker. Thielen or Ridley? Says Elizabeth. Probably Thielen. Man, that's hard. I don't know. See, this is the thing, Elizabeth. Thielen could put up a bigger game, but if the Vikings stop passing early in the game, then it's going to be Ridley who has a better game. So that's really tough. They're both awesome. So you're in a really good spot. I think they both do well, but if I had to lean one way or the other, I'd probably go with Thielen. Myles Gaskin or Drake? Gaskin, assuming he's okay. But Drake if he is not. Diego says, I have Gio locked in. My second running back spot. Help me decide. Gordon, Duke, Edmonds, Akers. I know it's ugly. I think I'd go Gordon, to be honest. Damn, you're 5-7 now? That's rough, bro. Justin says, Hollywood or DJ and full PPR at flex? DJ. Who's DJ? DJ. Hollywood or DJ? David Johnson? DJ. Duke Johnson? Which one? You guys got to give me a little bit more than DJ. I mean, how many DJs are there out there? But Justin, I do like Hollywood. I think if you are trying to hit a home run, I think Hollywood is the way to go. Todd Gurley, Kamara, or Cook? Give me Cook. Cook and Kamara. Hill or Allen? Tyreek. The freak. Tony says full PPR at flex. Debo or Jonathan Taylor? Assuming Debo's okay, Debo. But that I don't exactly know. Because I saw he was hurt during the week, but I think he's supposed to play. Also, Ravens D or Packers D? Give me the Ravens D. Yeah, Ravens D. Tampa says Waller or Ebron? Waller. Tyreek Hill for first scorer? Yeah or no? You mean like as a bet? Like first scorer? That's not bad. I mean, it could be Kelsey. I don't know what the odds are, but you never know. I would suspect that Vic Fangio's smart enough to not give the first touchdown to Tyreek Hill, but there's only so much you can do to stop that. We do have a super chat here in the chat. Allen Robinson or Calvin Ridley? I think Ridley. No. Damn, Elizabeth with these hard receiver questions. Matt Ryan was locked down last time they played the Saints. Robinson plays the Lions. Robinson's really good. Give me Robinson. I know that's probably, again, you're good either way. I'm going to go Robinson. Sam says DK or Allen Robinson. DK. AJ Brown or Lockett. Brown. I like both. All right, thanks. Aaron with the super chat for $5. Thank you, Aaron. You're the man. Anthony Ferkser, the tight end of the Titans, or Kyle Rudolph, Zach Ertz, Jimmy Graham, Mike Gesicki. Wow, you got the whole tight end market cornered. Ferkser, Rudolph, Ertz, Graham, Gesicki. Not Graham. Cancel him out. I'm not willing to trust Ferkser. Ertz, is he going to be actually out there? Rudolph could do good, but I think I'm going to go Gesicki. Fitzpatrick, I think, is play the Bengals. Typically, they have a pretty good rapport there. I'm going to go Gesicki. Kyler or Allen? Give me Josh Allen. Ross says, first time I've needed 3 quarterbacks. I have Lamar, Burrow, and Cam. Burrow's out, so Ross, I would go with Lamar there. Nate says Kamara or Booker. I would go with Kamara. Don't overthink it. Tampa says, do you think Henry Ruggs will be better than Tyreek Hill? No. Thomas says Dallas G or Jordan Reed. Please advise. Gracias. Thank you. Dallas G or Jordan Reed. I would go with Goddard there. Nate says, rate my team. Quarterback, Patty Mahomes. Running back 1, Eckler. Running back 2, Booker. Wide receiver 1, Keenan Allen. Wide receiver 2, Robert Woods. Tight end Hunter Henry, flex Terry McLaurin, kicker Sanders, Dolphins defense. Pretty good. Pretty good. Eckler's back. Booker, I mean, hopefully you don't always have Booker as your running back too, but looks pretty good to me. Ron says, should I start Cousins over Roethlisberger and Murray due to the matchups, how they've been playing recently? Kyler Murray you're talking about? I think I like Roethlisberger this week, actually. I think he's going to have a good game. It's hard to not play Kyler. I get it that he struggled, but it's hard not to play him. I mean, he's Kyler. Look at how good he's been playing. He's helped your team the whole year. Like, he had a bad game last week. He has a tough matchup this week. I get it. But he's Kyler Murray, man. And the ceiling that exists with Cousins and Roethlisberger just isn't worth them starting over Kyler. Because here's the thing with Kyler. Even if he doesn't throw a lot of yards, he's going to run. So, Ron, I still go with Kyler, assuming you're talking about Kyler. So, Murley Johnson says CEH or Dobbins. CEH. Trent says Gaskin, Aaron Jones, Raheem Mostert. Who do I sit? I think Gaskin because of the injury. Aaron says Tua is playing. That's unfortunate. Ethan says thanks for the help. No problem. Lamar might be out. Yeah, I've heard. I mean, you gotta pay attention to that. I mean, you have to balance your options. Like I said, if you have the chance to pick up Nick Mullins, like the other guy who asked me, Fitzpatrick or Lamar, if you know tomorrow that Lamar's not playing, then just start the other guy that you have on Sunday. But if you don't know yet and it looks like he might play, then I would just pick up Nick Mullins because he's going to be out there and just cut one of your other guys. Like that would be my opinion on that. Badgley or Boswell? Go with Boswell. You like the Steelers. Like, it's a kicker, bro. Ayuk or Debo? Debo, probably. Cole says, did you watch the Mike Tyson fight? I did. I did watch it. It was interesting. Caleb says Thielen or Jefferson? I'm a sucker for Jefferson. So I'm going to say Jefferson, but it could go either way. David Johnson for Ronald Jones. Who wins? Ronald Jones. No problem, Ron. Which cornerback do you think could help our secondary better than Darius Williams or Desmond King? I like Desmond King. Darius Williams is solid. I'm going to say Desmond King. I don't know. That's tough. Corner play is so inconsistent. It's hard to have a great corner or a good corner even for multiple seasons. The way that they play goes up and down. Who has a better game? Taysom Hill or Josh Allen? I'm going to say Josh. Henry or Fant? Henry. I think. Even though Belichick he spoke in a soliloquy about Hunter Henry. So that usually means he's about to shut him down. So that scares me a little bit. But Hunter Henry is solid. But I think he's more reliable than Fant. Fant could get that garbage time. But I think I'd go with Hunter Henry. The offense is just better. Mitch, my record for fantasy is 8-4. Well, congratulations, Michael. All right. So I think that's it for the questions. I guess I'll stick around for a few more minutes. On Patreon tonight, I'm going to do the bets and the preview for tomorrow's games. If you're interested in that, do subscribe to the Patreon. It starts at $3 a month, and you can support the channel. You can support me. You can support the dream, and you can also get basically what? NFL content exclusive from the channel, from me. And guys, it's going to be ramped up because school's over in like 4 days for me. So I got like 3-4 weeks of just content, like spam in your inbox. So it's probably the best time to subscribe to Patreon right now. I'm just letting you know. Timmy says Gallman or Debo, especially with fantasy playoffs, man. Gallman or Debo? Debo. Who should I pick, Baltimore defense or New England? I'd go Baltimore. Timmy says Booker or Drake? Booker. Michael says, can't wait till Monday. Yes, sir. Are the Steelers going undefeated, Michael? What do you think? All the way? All right, guys. I think that's it. It is now 9 on the West and midnight on the East. Thanks, guys, for watching. If you enjoyed, Gronk, spike that like button. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more. It's Mitch. See you on Patreon for the extended preview of week number 13, as well as my bets and taking a look at some of my fantasy rosters for the week. All right. Thanks, guys. Peace.